Hey everyone, it's Dominic the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Welcome back to another video. You know, for a long time on this channel, I've been doing a series at the beginning of each month entitled The Top 10 Most Expensive and Most Profitable Items That Sold in My eBay Store. If you go to the playlist here, you'll see an entire section that's called What Sold Videos, and you could see all those prior ones. And if you go back and watch them, or if you have been watching them, what you'll see is that typically the number 10 item would be something that's sold for around 40 to 50 bucks. Then we'd work our way back up towards number 1, and usually like items number 3, 2, 1. So the most expensive ones would be something that's sold for $100 or more. Well, this month was the best month I had ever had on eBay, and for the first time ever, every single item that's sold in my eBay store sold for over $100. Now that's not a coincidence. That didn't just happen out of the blue. When I took my trip to Chicago a few months ago, I really had some time to sit and think about the approach that I was going to use to listing. As many of you know, I work a separate full-time job in a hospital. It has absolutely nothing to do with reselling. I run a medical website on the side as well, and so I had limited time, and I really had to figure out a better plan to hit the financial goals that I had for myself for 2019. And I could talk about that some other time, but obviously one of the things you're going to see, part of my plan was to get some items up that had more value as either lots or as individual pieces that just, you know, had some significant value. And so we're going to start off at number 10 and work our way back up to number 1. And you're going to see a real diversity of items. If you're brand new to my channel, I specialize in comic books, but I sell all things that are vintage and collectible. So you will see a great diversity in the items that are sold, and also in my eBay store, which is linked in the description section. So let's start off at number 10. And you know, many of you will recognize this who've been watching my videos for a while, because one of the things I like to show you is when I source the items, and I also will sometimes show you if it's a shipping challenge item, how to ship it. And so I did a video a few weeks ago on how to ship this item, because it's a long one. This is the Jackie Onassis 1962 paper doll series from a company called Magic Wand. Now the price you see there is what it sold for. This sold for $115. If you remember, I sourced this item when I was in Pennsylvania with my son on a road trip. I live in New York, but we went for a road trip because he had a basketball tournament that weekend, and I was trying to show people that you could still keep your business running, still keep things moving while you are on the road. And so I saw this for $25. I picked it up for $20 because the guy, surprising to me, had told me he had this sitting out for about 3 or 4 different garage sales over the past year, and just sat there. And my hypothesis on it is that people stayed away from it because they thought it would be a shipping nightmare. And if you watch the video I showed you, it's actually a shipping piece of cake. It was not expensive to ship. It shipped for around $8 and change. It's a very light item. The length was not an issue at all. Very, very simple. Go back and watch that prior video. If it had the magic wand, it would have sold for a little bit more. You could see there on the bottom right, it's called the magic wand. So the magic wand, you could see here inside, the condition of this is absolutely amazing. But what you would do with the magic wand is you would use it and you would rub it on the clothes, and it would make the clothes stick to the dress. But the magic, it would make the clothes stick to the body. Now, the reason why I didn't care that the magic wand was missing for this is because one, someone purchasing this is really not going to want to take these clothes off and start sticking them on Jackie Onassis. They're going to want these as collectible pieces for display. So that's one thing to keep in mind. There's several sheets. That's just one of them. I mean, look at this. The colors are still bright from 1962. None of them peeled off. These are called uncut sheets, and that's something that is very desirable amongst collectors. The doll itself is in great shape. You could see here it has the stand right down below that you would slot right in the bottom there to help her stand up, and right there on the back you could see it's really in just beautiful condition. And so I didn't really care about the magic wand missing. Sure, it would have been a little bit of a bonus and it would have sold for a little more, but it's fine. And the reality of it is those magic wands, they actually lose their effectiveness over time, over the decades. And if you really wanted to stick the paper doll clothes onto Jackie O, or any other doll for that matter, you could just take your hand and rub it up and down the clothes onto the figure, and it'll stay on. So you don't have to have the magic wand. So keep an eye out for items like this. If you remember that video, I was drawn to this immediately. Things that drew me to it. One, it's Jackie Onassis. She's a revered first lady in the United States and across the world. She's beautiful, she's elegant, she's Camelot, or part of Camelot, and just the box is just amazing. The colors are great, the dress is great, the blue and the white. Blue is my favorite color. That's like TARDIS blue if you're a fan of Doctor Who, so that really stuck out to me. And again, just the condition of it overall made me just jump all over this at 20 bucks. And there you could see sold for $115. Now, one of the best things about this sale is the email that I received, or the message I received on eBay from the woman who purchased this. She had this when she was a child, and she told me that she had been searching for this for most of her life and can never find one, especially in this type of condition. I mean, you will once in a while see this item out there, but usually it's pretty beat up and damaged when you come across it. And the praise that she heaped upon me for being able to get her this item, and the way that I shipped it and sent it out to her, it really, really made me feel good. When I saw the message come across, I don't know if you feel this way when you get a message from an item that you previously sold. My first response is, oh no, before reading the message, because I'm worried that something happened, that it got damaged or something like that, or the person didn't like it or something like that. But there actually was not an issue at all. She was just very happy about receiving the item, and it gave her a piece of her childhood back. And that's one of the things I love about doing this, in addition to the money. When you could get these items back to where they belong, either back to a geographical location or reuniting someone with a piece of nostalgia that meant so much to them when they were a child, absolutely, absolutely love it. Okay, so now we are going to go to the next set of items, which is Marvel TeamUp. So I told you I specialize in comic books, and this is a great series that I used to read when I was younger. Now, these are from the first series, which started in 1972, and it went up until the 1980s. This is actually the last issue right here that you could see. Now, it is not a complete set, as you can see here from this last issue. That, well, it's probably hard for you to zoom in on that. I'll go kind of towards the end there so you could see. This last issue is issue 150. So they made 150 issues right there. And I don't have all 150. I only have 44 of them. And the ones that I have are higher in the run. So you can see here they span issues 101 and 150. Now, individually, these comic books are not worth that much. If you just came across, for example, these 4 books in a garage sale and tried to sell them, you're not going to make a lot of money on them. You have to put these comic books that are of lower value in bigger lots to get the money out of them. Now, one of the issues that you could see is missing, and this is one you should be on the lookout for, is number 141. That is a highly desirable item because it ties with one of the Amazing Spider-Man issues. I believe it's 252. It ties with that for the first appearance of Spider-Man in his black alien costume, which you could see right here, but that's not really worth that much because it's not one of the first appearances of him in it. But that costume is very, very popular, and so if you ever see him in that, especially in number 141, you definitely want to pick up those early issues that have him in it. So anyway, Now you see here, I do have some annuals. There's 3 of them. Annuals are issues that come out once a year. They're thicker. They're usually 64 pages compared to the average 28 to 32 page comic book. And yes, there are annuals number 3 in there, I think. And I've got, let me see, I probably have them right here somewhere. Let's see, yeah, see, number 3, that's an annual. That's not issue number 3. That's annual number 5, not issue number 5. So see there it says king size annual. You have to pay attention to that. That does make a big difference if it was issue number 5 versus annual number 5. Very, very big difference there. But this is how you can make a lot of money with comic books, by creating these bulk deals for people, especially if you bought these in a big collection like I did. These came from an estate sale. I had gotten all my money back already from other comic books that I sold from the set. So this winds up just becoming all profit. They weren't even in the best of condition. You could see here the condition was rated fine to very fine, which means it has some mild to moderate damage on it, such as some creases on it, maybe a little tear here or there. It could be like a tiny little stain here or there, that kind of thing. You know, they don't have to all be in mint or near mint condition, but you know, one of the things that makes this comic book desirable is that most of them feature Spider-Man. It was a very ingenious way, a marketing technique that Marvel used to combine their most popular character, Spider-Man, with all of these different other characters. Like you could see here, She-Hulk and Ant-Man and Nighthawk and Doc Samson, and not all of these comic book characters had separate comic books, but some of them did, like Hulk and Power Man and Iron Fist. And so you can imagine as a kid, if you're reading that and you're saying, wow, you know, I really like these new characters that I'm reading about, and I want to go get some more comic books that have them in it, or that have them maybe on the cover, or, you know, there's Man-Thing, he had his own issue, or there's Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four, then you might go out and purchase that. So it's desirable for a collector in bulk like this, because you really do get a ton of different characters all at once. So Marvel Team Up, if you could ever pick it up in bulk, do so, because you could see here, and this is the actual sale price, $120 for those 44 Marvel Team Ups. Okay, now you don't always have to have a ton of comic books to make a great sale. You could just have a couple of comic books or one comic book like we see here. This is the Incredible Hulk number 271, and it's notable for something very important. This is the first full comic book appearance of Rocket Raccoon. There he is right there. If anyone here, and I know many of you have watched Guardians of the Galaxy, you're wondering where he originated. Now, he wasn't a prior comic magazine prior to this on the cover, but this is actually the first full appearance of him in an actual, full comic book right here. So because of that, that makes him very valuable and makes the issue valuable, because the movie is and the movie series are popular. And I just included number 272 in here to differentiate myself from the pack that was selling number 271. So not only can I argue that you're going to get the first appearance of Rocket Raccoon, but you're also going to get the second one as well. And I sold those for $137.99. What you see up there is my asking price. So if I sold it for something different than that, I will tell you that in the video. Now, if you're wondering, if you're out there, or if you buy a little comic collection, and you're like, how am I supposed to know whether or not this is worth something? I've talked about this many times, but go to comicspriceguide.com. comicspriceguide.com. That website, if you just sign up for a free account, it's going to give you the estimated prices for the comic book. Now, it's not always going to match up to market value, but what it will do, you could skim through an entire series like Incredible Hulk. If maybe you have like 50 consecutive issues, and you could quickly skim down, and it will say, well, this one's worth 4, this one's worth 4, this one's worth 4, this one's worth 4, but this one's worth 150. And say, wow, wait, what's up with that? And it will tell you this is the first full appearance of Rocket Raccoon. So that's a quick way to figure it out, rather than typing every single comic book into eBay and checking the comps. That becomes way too laborious to do that type of thing. And let's see, we've got some offers coming in on my phone to decide. It's been a crazy day. I had 7 sales today, and one of those items may show up on next month's what's sold on eBay video. We'll see. But anyway, so that's that one. And now another thing here that I bought, well, there you can see it's an offer on a Justice League comic book set. So you can see these comic books fly out the door. This is a comic book magazine. It's called Heavy Metal. I bought 118 of these for $50. It's that was in a prior video that I did, and that one I sourced it on Craigslist. There was a Craigslist ad. A guy put it up late at night. I contacted him immediately. That's why I'm always checking like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, that kind of stuff, to jump on these deals before they go. He said he had over 100 of them for $50. I didn't even haggle with the guy. Just went out there, guy, because I knew it was such a great deal. Anytime you could find heavy metal in bulk, pick it up if you could get it for a good price, at $1 or less, that type of thing. I'll zoom in on a couple issues so you could see. These are basically adult fantasy magazines. And so while there's no explicit nudity on the cover, they try to, show, they try to do as much as they can technically get away with by, covering sensitive areas and stuff like that. But this issue and these issues, they for the series, they started in the 1970s. And ones from the 1970s and the 1980s are the most valuable ones because they're the oldest of the series. The ones I had here were from 1981 and moved up to the present. I decided to split the lot because they are, pretty heavy, and so I put 44 in one lot, and this was the first lot that I sold. And this one here wound up selling for actually $120. Then I sold a second lot, which you're going to see later on. So, but again, Heavy Metal magazine, it's really, really a great series to pick up if you could find it. I see it around every once in a while. Just saw it recently in a mall. If you remember the video I did like a few videos back where I went into a mall at the end of the day where they had like a little flea market set up, and some guy was trying to sell them for like $5 a piece. You don't want to pick them up for that price, but if you could get them for $1 or less, or buy them in a big bulk deal off of Craigslist, always check for Heavy Metal magazine. Now, let's go to another item before we get back to the other heavy metals. These I just sold yesterday, so it was the last day of July when I sold this. Technically it's August 2nd right now because it's 1:15 in the morning when I'm making this video, but I did sell this on 7/31. So these are chaps. They're Harley Davidson brown leather chaps. So chaps are like seatless pants. They were traditionally used by, cowboys and people on, riding on horseback to protect their legs, from the brush and stuff when going through the, rough kind of environmental terrain. But they're also used by bikers. Harley riders like to use them as well. Protects the legs from the cold, from the elements. That sort of thing. And plus, it's also very stylish. The brown ones are harder to find than the black, so that was something that appealed to me. You could see here, as I zoom up on it, that there are creases in it, that it has some fading to the leather. They're definitely well used. They have these really cool big buttons that I'm going to show you right here. They're really neat. So, they are vintage. It's a really, really nice pair. They're extra large, which helps because, they could get, the bigger guys that are riding the bikes could get in on these. They'll want them. They have lots of cool, pockets and, stuff on the side. And, it's just a really, really neat item. So this one sold for $150. So I took a best offer, $150 for these. Now, I sourced them at a garage sale, and I was fortunate at the end of the day. I was looking at them. I did a video on this. You might remember the haul video where I got this pair plus 2 other pairs of Harley leather pants for $20 to $25. So, it was just an incredible deal overall. So I have like $8 or something invested into this, and sold for $150. So you're going to see a theme here with these items that are selling for high prices is that they are all very, very good returns on investments, all of them. So be on the lookout for leather Harley chaps, or really any kind of leather chaps or leather wear. Just generally does sell very, very well. So now we're going to move up to the next item. If you remember, I went out and I bought that big collection of trains. I wound up buying, let's see, there were 17 train sets, and there was an entire amount of estate sale contents that I purchased. I got every single thing there. I was under pressure in that sale. If you want to see that video, it's called Picking Under Pressure. Go check out that one, and you'll see me get these everything, all the trains, all the estate sale contents for about $430 and change. So the reason why I bought that and spent that amount of money on it, you're going to see a little bit later on from one of the train sets that I sold. So there's another train set coming up, but this one here you should definitely look out for. It's made by USA Trains. It is a line called Mighty Mo. They always come in these blue and red boxes. They're called 20 tonners. This one here is one of the New York versions, and you could see on the side it says it's a New York Central 20 tonner. Very difficult to find. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's a great condition, barely, if ever, used. So you want to show on these the outside of the box. You could see here, if you could zoom in on your picture, you could get a picture of the guy inside, which is really cool. You want to get a picture of all the different parts of the box, because collectors like the boxes. And you need to take the train out. You got to get a picture of this side. You got to get a picture of this side. You got to get a picture of this side. You got to do that, or it's going to make it much more challenging to sell these trains. I took a best offer on this one, sold it for $167. So that was a good sale right there. And as you'll see later on, that's going to combine with another train set to get me all my money back and be in profit for that train collection, and still have like 15 trains left, one of which was a Lionel train that I literally put up about 24 hours ago for $300, and it already has 7 watchers. So that train set collection that I bought, really gonna do well with that overall. Now these are the other 74 heavy metal magazines. Remember, I told you that I bought 118 of them, so I showed you the other 44 right over here. But this is the other section of it. So this is the other 74. And basically I had 2 boxes, one that I could fit 74 nicely in and one that I could fit 44 nicely in, and that's kind of why I broke it up that way. So this was my more expensive lot. I'm not going to really zoom in too much on it because I've already shown you what these look like, but these here I took a best offer of $181, and so overall for a $50 investment, you add the 181 to the 120, and that winds up being about $300 for, and that's gross of course, but shipping wasn't bad, and that winds up being $300 gross for a $50 investment. So overall, I'll take that any day. That was a great pickup there with those heavy metal bucks. Now we are into the top 3 right here. So I did a separate video on this one, so you could learn more about how I found this and everything at a garage sale, and I basically got it for free. If you watch that video, if you want to find out how I got it for free. Not only did I get this one for free, I got 2 other ones. So these are mint condition sealed Kiss pencils. And you want to zoom up on the year for these, because you can see here these were made in 1978. I wound up meeting the person in the middle on these for $237.50 was the final sale price. It's funny, someone just before I started making this video offered me $150 on my other set of Kiss pencils, and I said sorry, but I just sold the other set for $237.50, and right now that other set of Kiss pencils has like 11 watchers on it. So I expect that one to sell for a similar price, or somewhere in the $200 range. So overall, once all 3 sets of pencils are sold, they should, overall it should be around $700 for something I literally didn't even pay for. It is crazy. So, there are very, very avid collectors of Kiss memorabilia, especially anything from the Bill Aucoin era. He was the manager of Kiss, which is why you want to put that in the keywords during that 1970s era there. And keep in mind, there are avid pencil collectors, vintage pencil collectors. So you combine that with the you combine the pencil collectors with the Kiss collectors, you got a perfect combination. Anytime you could find items that kind of match up multiple different collector bases, you are going to be onto something, and there's usually going to be some big money associated with it. Now, speaking of big money, that gets me to the next 2 items, which really helped propel this month into the best month ever for me on eBay. And we're going to go to this one right here. So this is the Lionel Train Set. Now there's 4 trains in this. This is the New York passenger Amtrak set. Now, if you go back to that, now by the way, the sale price on this was $600. I took a best offer, $600, and I really got fortunate because I did make a mistake when I purchased this, but thankfully it didn't come back to really bite me. If you remember that video, again, it was called Picking Under Pressure, and so I really just had to quickly kind of do an assessment of these items and figure out whether or not it would be a good flip. And these originally came in a big official Lionel Train box that fit all 4 of these trains in here. And what originally came with this was there was track that came with it, and there were other accessories that helped make the trains run. Well, when I looked inside of the box once I got back, because when I was at the sale, if you go back to the video, I don't know if I show it. I do show the box, but I don't think I showed a part where I actually open it up and look inside of it. And I saw the 4 boxes there, and I opened the boxes to make sure the trains were there, but I didn't really pay attention much. I saw a lot of plastic bags and stuff, and there were some other smaller cardboard boxes inside of it that held some of the other parts, but I really just didn't even have the time to go through and check all of those different small boxes. And when I got back home, I found that they were all empty. So I was like, oh no, because my comp for this was based on showing that the actual box with all the parts and all of the trains sold for $670. So that's what I was hoping for, to really get all my money back for the $430 investment with this one piece. So I said to myself, okay, well now what do I do? You got to adapt to the situation. So what I did, if you look at these trains over here and I zoom up on them, what you're going to see is there's information on the side of these boxes, and all of them are going to have numbers. So you can see here, this is Amtrak coach 827040. This one is on the bottom. It's real small on that one, but it says 618223, and then there's some more here as well. So you could look these numbers up on eBay, and you could get comps data for them, and you could also check them on Terapeak as well. And what I found when I did that is that these were generally being offered for $150 a piece or something like that, or $150 to $200, and there were lots of watchers on them, and they were completed sold. So what I said to myself is, you know what, I'm going to display all these trains just like you see here, and I'm just going to sell them individually in a lot, because people are buying them individually, so why wouldn't they just buy all 4? Yeah, I don't have the box, so that'll take a little bit off of the price, but you know what, if I could still get $600 for this, I will definitely take that. And that's ultimately what it sold for, $600 for all these trains. And so this right here got me my money back. Was still in profit with just this one. And so this train right over here, this Mighty Mo, this is all profit from the Mighty Mo. The other 15 trains will be, and then all the estate sale contents that I got from that day it's all gravy from there. And I've said this before, but if you're brand new to my channel, that's what you want to do when you buy in bulk. Don't be scared to pay up. If you have solid comps data that backs you up, that shows that you should be able to get that return on investment back. But even there, you're still trying to get all of your money back with 1 or 2 sales. This way, everything else is pure profit for your business. Now let's go to the last item, and this is got to be one of my favorites of all time. And I just posted this the other day in my Facebook group as a be on the lookout item of the day. If you're not a member of that, please join. It's free. It's we're almost up to 11,000 members in there. It's called the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link is down below, so come on by. We would love to have you there. So without further ado, let's go to this last item here. And this one, I really have to give most of the credit to Mrs. Primetime, my wife. This is why we call her Mrs. Primetime, because she saw this on Facebook Marketplace. She normally goes on there looking for items that I would be interested in sourcing. And she also looks for furniture for her furniture restoration business that she does on the side. And she saw this and she just thought that it looked unusual. So she decided to look into a little bit more. And what she saw was that if this item was signed by Curtis Jerry, and you could see there based on the listing, it's called the Curtis Jerry Brass Kinetic Wall Sculpture. And she found that if it was signed, that this could be worth several $100s. Not $200, but more like $400. And there were some people asking even more than that, like even over $1,000 in terms of asking price. Now, I did my own, independent research on this, and the most I could find in terms of an actual completed sold, and it was consistent, was right around the $400 range. I talked to the person who wound up purchasing this from me, who told me that she had spent $465 on one of them. So it has sold for more than 400, but again, somewhere in that $400 range was what I had valued it at if it was signed. Now you might be saying to me, what do you mean signed? How do you sign a metal sculpture? Well, you can. Now let me bring you in so you could look at this a little bit more and get a better understanding of this item. So basically on the top you see this squiggly basically hanging rod that goes across the top here, and there are these little hooks, and there's 48 of them, and these basically brass strands hook onto the very end and just kind of hang there almost like chimes, and it gives this kind of wavy look to it. Now the company that made it, which is called Curtis Jerry, that's actually not the name of a single artist. That is actually the name of 2 individuals, Curtis Freiler and Jerry, spelled actually Jerry, not with an E. I guess they just kind of put that together for marketing purposes, but his name was Jerry Fells. And so both of those names in some form are part of this signature, along with the year in marker. And it's actually easier to see from farther away in terms of the picture that I have, as opposed to if I zoom up to it, it's going to look extra blurry. But my job was basically to go out to this woman's house who had this item on Facebook Marketplace and look to see if I could find this signature at the end. And went out there and found out that she had purchased this in around somewhere in the 1980s for around what she was selling it to us for. She happened to be moving and she just wanted to get rid of it. It was too big. She didn't want it anymore. So she said she bought it out of a catalog. Now, it probably wasn't worth that much back then, but over time, designers and people who collect art started to get nostalgic for this type of item. People who are looking for kind of a vintage chic look started to pay up more to get these kind of items. And when one of the artists passed away in 2013, these items started to go up even more in value. Because obviously when one person is not there anymore, you can't have the same type of signature that's going to be on there anymore. So this is what the signature actually looks like. This is what you would be looking for if you come across something like this. And you could see there right at the end, there is the year 1982, and then it does say C. Jerry or Curtis Jerry in some form right here. And it is faded, so you could see there's the Jerry part right there, and right behind there would be the Curtis part. And then here it is a little bit more as like another view of it right there. It does look better in person as opposed to when you're zooming it in like that. But that's the classic look for those for the signatures for Curtis Jerry on those pieces. And there's just a bunch of different views, I gave of it. They do include a couple of extra brass strands. So basically, what we did in terms of pricing, once I knew that the comps were around that $400 range, the issue then was to look and see what anyone else had with regards to this item online. And there was one other person who had it, selling it for $1,100 and had some watchers on it. So, we just said to ourselves, let's just price it at $999.99. So about $1,000, so about $100 less than another person, and just see what happens. If someone offers us $1,000, we'll take it, of course. And if not, we'll, if offers come in, we're kind of, see what we could do from there. So within the first week that I had it up, I had an offer from someone from California. It's actually the person who wound up eventually purchasing it for $300. I declined it. The person offered $350. I declined it again because I estimated that this item was going to cost around $30 to $50 to ship it. More so if it was going out to the West Coast, because I'm from New York. I'm in New York. And the person who was bidding was from California, so that would be the most expensive possible price. So, and it's the first week and I was already building up a bunch of watchers. I had like 4 or 5. So we decided to hold off. So a week later, in fact, just the other day, that same person put in another offer of $450. And we kind of went back and forth with negotiations, and the person ultimately offered $550 after I sent a counteroffer. And they said the highest they could go was $550 because they had just purchased one for $465. Now, again, I know this person's from California and I have free shipping on the item. And so I'm thinking worst case scenario, this is going to cost $50 to ship. So I said, sorry, lowest I could go on it is $599.99. And Mrs. Primetime was in my ear saying, if this person's going to pay $550, the person will pay $599.99. So we counteroffered, even though the person said that was the highest that she could go was $550. Don't believe that. That's not always the case. I mean, sometimes it is, but not always. Don't automatically assume that's true. You could always test it out. And if the person truly is at their max, then they could just, send another offer for that same amount. But turns out she purchased it for the $600, and it did cost $50 to ship it. Technically $47 via FedEx. It would have cost $100 to ship it if we had used USPS. So real important, especially now with the dimensional rate shipping and USPS increasing the prices for bigger packages. You really have to look at FedEx as an option. It could cut your shipping prices in half, and that's what I had accounted for when I made this sale. So that's basically what happened. I hope that you've found all these items interesting. There are really 2 items here that sold for $600. This one here and the trains. And again, did not have much into them respectively. I mean, this one just $40, and this one, yes, I had $400 plus dollars into it, but you have to remember that it also included all those other trains and all of the estate sale content. So different ways to getting at the $600 sales, but they're both going to be effective at bringing in some nice profit for the business nonetheless. So let me know what your favorite item was. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you drop those down below. I'm always happy to hear what you have to say. And that's about it. Again, go down below, Facebook Reselling Resource Center. Follow me on Instagram. That's @prime_time. _treasure. And if you're watching this today on Friday, August 2nd, make sure you stop by the Facebook group, because we have an event called Bulkamania going on where people are selling and buying items in bulk. We're probably going to do that event maybe once a month or so. We'll see. It was very popular the first day we ran it on August 1st. With over 180 comments and offers, and so there's lots of stuff going on there. So if you're not a member there, you're definitely missing out on that and many other events. So hope to see you there, and hope to see you at the next video as well. Take care, everyone.